I created a Python command line tool with Claude Code that allows you to take the URL of any YouTube video, download it, analyze the scenes with FFmpeg and AI to create a list of prompts that can then be fed into a generative AI video model, such as Google's VO3 or WAN 2.0 via fal.ai. Now, right off the bat, I want to say that I'm against ripping off other people's content wholesale. I think that's super lame. My goal in showing you this tool is for you to be able to see what is out there right now without basically having someone who's a hype man be saying, oh my God, this is the most amazing thing. This produces the most amazing results. I want you to be able to see where we're at with the technology with regard to kind of like detecting motion, colors, styles, camera work, and understanding basically a video. I think it's a pretty interesting challenge. I will say that I think this culture of remixing or borrowing stuff from other people's video content is going to be here to stay and is going to increase. I think that's going to prompt a lot of interesting ethical and legal debates, which we're not going to be having in this video. So let's have a look at like the features of this, tool. Basically, there is being able to actually download the URL, analyze a particular URL or a locally stored .mp4 file. You can then basically see all of the scenes that are generated by it and then pick either one or all of them to be generated. And you can then basically select whether you to use fast mode, which is a lot cheaper than basically the regular mode with VO3. I think fast mode is like 40 cents a second with audio, whereas like the regular mode is 75 cents a second with audio. You can also use a different model such as WAN 2. So all of this is described here. Now, I also in this GitHub repo, which I'm going to be publishing and posting either in the comments or the show notes for this, have basically the spec that I use to generate this with Claude Code. And I'm going to be going through some of the kind of videos that I generated with it and kind of pointing out basically some of the problems with this. The actual architecture, I've had Claude document here. And pretty much how this works is it's a pipeline where we first download the video, then we basically do scene detection, frame extraction, audio analysis. I use basically Whisper to transcribe the audio, and I use Sonnet 3.5 for scene analysis. And then basically what we do is we kind of like take all of these different scenes. We might have to do chunking if they're longer than 8 seconds because VO can only handle basically 8 seconds at a time. Sometimes we combine scenes together for generation, and then basically we output this, and then we have a bunch of command line features for stitching them together, assembly, and all that kind of stuff. So that's kind of like roughly how this works. Let's look at some of the commercials that I selected for this and why I selected them. So the first one that I selected was the E-Trade Baby series, specifically the one of this that was used many years ago in the Super Bowl ad. Let's just have a quick play of this so you can see what it looks like.
Oh, this is tragic, man. Investors just like you could lose tens of thousands of dollars on their 401k.
Now, the reason why I selected this video, basically, it kind of looks like AI slop. Not to be to be like looking down on that video too much, but it's kind of like it's a baby, it's a stack of money. There's a crib in the background. There's been a lot of baby content in the AI universe. There's been kind of like the baby talk show where the baby is interviewing a dog. Figured it would be pretty good at that, and it's a simple kind of idea where you have like voice talking over it. The other thing that I decided to kind of copy was a random commercial for greenies, and this looks like this.
Dogs don't know what's good for them, like not being able to leave a good stick alone.
And the reason why I decided to pick that one was the art style seemed very similar to other kind of art styles that I'd seen AI generate. All of the scenes were less than 8 seconds, so you should be able to do that. And I thought it would be pretty easy to kind of like generate something like that. So let's look at like basically one of the scenes that we generated from the baby commercial with this and see how this turned out.
Investors just like you could unknowingly encounter hidden fees on their 401k. Thankfully, E-Trade offers transparent investments with no hidden fees.
Now, there's a couple of things that are obviously wrong here with this. Number one, like basically the composition of the scene looks absolutely nothing like the one that was described. And the baby is looking away from it. There's no stack of money. There's kind of like a crib in the background. The voice actually doesn't sound too bad. And the reason for this is when I originally did this, it didn't think to do basically motion detection. I had to actually explicitly tell it to do that. And, you know, with some iterating on the prompt, I was able to get much better results. So let's look at like basically a better result that I got from this.
Thankfully, E-Trade has low-cost investments, no hidden fees. There's a couple ways you could do it.
Now, again, other kind of things that look good here is the baby's facing the camera. I don't know why I put a keyboard in there. There's money, there's a crib in the background. It's not quite the same thing. Probably you could kind of improve the prompt and kind of figure out all that kind of stuff and kind of get it better. But, you know, it's pretty good. Now, if you wanted to get exactly the same voice, 11 labs specialize in voice models. And I think if you uploaded about like 10 seconds of the original audio for this commercial, it would probably come up with something that was even better. Probably with some better prompting, you could kind of dial this in some more. But my main kind of point is this isn't just something that you can vibe code up and have basically consistent result kind of come out from it. Now let's have a look at like some of the results that we got from basically the doggy commercial here. So basically, what we have here is just, it's rendering a picture of a dog in front of a Christmas tree. And that was basically a common kind of theme that I would have is it wouldn't detect motion, it would just describe the dog. And then also, for some reason, like Claude Code had trouble with like transcriptions and stuff like that, and it took a couple of iterations to get this right. So when I put the motion analysis into this, it actually made a really big difference. When I iterated on the prompt, I kind of got like a little bit better results in terms of the way the actual dog looks. So here's an example of a better style dog. But again, it looks nothing really like the actual dog that was captured in basically the video. And I know that like, you know, VO3 is capable of better results than that. So then let's kind of look at basically another example, like scene from this. This was generated with VO3. A little bit better from a composition point of view. The style is totally off. Probably with some more screwing around, I could have gotten better. I had other results where it was kind of like fetching a stick, but that looks quite different from the actual original cutesy animation. And then finally, to basically finish this off, let's see at how it handles basically the pack of greenies that are at the end of this commercial. Let me see if I can kind of do this here. So you kind of see greenies, original treats. So again, something, if you have dogs, you'll know about. Like, let's see what it came up with. Now, Hentel and all of this other nonsense in the packet is totally wrong. This is done with 1.2. 1.2 is a bit better for text, but it still kind of sucks. So probably if you were doing this for real, you'd probably want to kind of like, you know, have some sort of like, you know, filling in or kind of workflow that would, you know, improve the text output for it. Now, I think some things that I will say about this is there's probably techniques you could use to dramatically improve this. So Google just announced they have VO3 Fast and a new image to video capabilities where you can actually include images for more consistent character you know, kind of prompts. Because like if you're generating this and you're doing like these multiple discrete 8-second things, even with a very good prompt, it can look very different. Like there's a lot of people who are basically coming up with APIs, like Curious Refuge here talks about like 3 different techniques that he used, including one where he created a custom fal.ai model to have consistent character results. So there are techniques that you can use for character consistency. The other kind of thing that I kind of looked at was basically this post in Reddit that was doing the same thing as I did, which was my 3-step workflow for cloning any video with AI. The results are getting very close. So in this basically post, the guy talks about dropping, a video and this rather long prompt into, Gemini Studio, and then having it recreate this. Now, I did this for the Greenies commercial, and looking through basically the prompt that he kind of put out, or the kind of like the final version of these different scenes, it still basically doesn't capture motion. So even if you're using this very manual copying and pasting process, the results that I got in terms of generation were not really great. Anyway, thought you'd all find this interesting. I think there's going to be just a ton more video content, especially if you're someone trying to sell a product and you're trying to put that out on like social media like TikTok or even LinkedIn. Short form video does really well. I think it's a good fit for these tools, but there's a lot of skill in actually getting a good result out of them.